Okay, so we're looking at the organization of muscles first. And muscles are attached to bone through tendons. So here's the tendon, and it wraps around the muscle. So the muscle is basically inside this connective tissue wrapping, right? Kind of a little wonky. That will look a little better. If I can. Okay. So this outer layer here of connective tissue that comes from the tendon and it wraps around the muscle belly is called the epimysium. And it's, fibrous connective tissue. It's dense, irregular connective tissue holding that thing together. So if we take a cross section of this muscle like that, and remember, it's still being surrounded by the epimysium there. Do that, okay? So the whole bulk of the muscle, the whole muscle is made up of muscle cells or muscle fibers. And if we take a cross section of a full muscle, then we see groups of muscle fibers. Okay, so these groups of muscle fibers are held together by a fibrous connective tissue. These groups are called fascicles. And the fascicles are held together by perimysium. Okay, so inside each one of these, let's make it red, is a group of muscle cells. So these are muscle fibers. And the muscle fibers themselves are surrounded by connective tissue. And it's loose connective tissue. It's called the endomysium. So if we pull out one of these muscle cells and blow it up, right? So this is a muscle fiber. All right, it's covered with endomysium. So that's out here. Okay, so around the outside of it is endomysium. That inside part is the sarcolemma. Okay, so this is the sarcolemma, or plasma membrane. So this muscle fiber is full of contractile units, okay? And these contractile units are all in here, just like this. And these little contractile units are called myofibrils. And they contain the proteins that allow for muscle contraction to occur. Okay, and there's so many of these myofibrils that are in the muscle fiber that, it pushes. Let's go ahead and add a little, I don't know what color, let's use this color. So this would be a nucleus, and the nuclei are kind of pushed to the periphery. Because remember, skeletal muscles are multinucleate, so it's going to have all these nuclei that are in there that, there's so many myofibrils in there, they take a lot of room, so they kind of push those nuclei to the periphery there. So the myofibrils are made up of little proteins, right? Right, so they're just like in here, and I can't draw them very well, but so we'll do that. Okay, so if we pull out a myofibril, so let's just pull one out and make it look bigger. So this is the myofibril. And inside of it are the filaments, the myofilaments, that allow for contraction. And I'm doing them different colors because there are two flavors of myofilaments. So we have actin and we have myosin. And those are that plus that are the myofilaments. So it's the actin and myosin together that allow for muscle contraction. And these are little tubes. Okay, so these are tubes that we could, pull out and look at if we wanted to. We could, pull this one out and look at it or whatever. Okay. So the actin molecules, oops, my colors are hard to do. Okay, my actin molecules are thin. So they're thin filaments. The myosin molecules are thick filaments. So that is the basic structure of a muscle with all its coverings and all the parts to it. And we get it right down to those actin and myosin, which are actually the things that rub up against each other, that slide by each other, that cause contraction.